Shalom Aleichem. I'm not sure if, hi, Shalom Aleichem. On this day of Yom HaShoah, Yiddishkeit Initiative is doing what we should all be doing on this day. Remembering, respecting, honoring the fighters and friends, relatives, and the entire community that was devastated and decimated and nearly destroyed by the Holocaust. As artists, what we do is we honor and remember with our work, our songs, our words. My name is Eleanor Reissa. In 1995, I wrote a monologue for a man, imaginary, yet one that I knew very well. A man who fought to live through the days and years of the Shoah and afterwards. I wrote it because I saw that part of the future. I saw in my mind the part where those people would no longer be around, those people who lived through the Holocaust. Much of my family lived through the Holocaust. Much of my family did not live through the Holocaust. This is a monologue that this piece you're going to see today is a monologue about the last one. May we continue to remember and respect and try to make this world a place where such a horrible thing cannot happen to anyone ever again, not to any culture, not to any religion, not to any race, no one. I want to very much tell you how grateful I am to Yiddishkeit Initiative, who is producing this reading, and they provide so much for us for free. It's pretty amazing, but we all know nothing is for free. So if you have a couple of shekels or a couple of thousand shekels around to show your support and encourage their work, that would be great. And I want to thank Amy London and Eloisa at Yiddishkeit Initiative. And more than anything, I want to thank my friend and colleague, Avi Hoffman, who tirelessly runs the organization and who I'm grateful will be appearing in my play this afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching it. Epilogue. The last one, an epilogue. The stage is empty. An elderly man, ageless and vital, enters to a smattering of applause and flashbulb.
Hello. Just a minute. Look, maybe you have a mistake. No, it's crazy. You gotta admit, impossible. That it's me who's the last one? The last one? The very last one? What, there's no one else? Maybe you haven't looked hard enough. Yeah, that must be it. The people are still hiding. You know, it wasn't that long ago, the war. And maybe there's people in such good hiding places that they themselves don't know that the war is over already. It's possible. Yeah, I remember reading an article in the Times. Oh, sure, I read the Times every day. Every day, even on Shabbos. What do I give a damn about religion? A bunch of lousy hypocrites. I don't pay no attention to it. Except for Yisker and Yom Kippur. That's the memorial prayer for the dead. For that I go, but that's it. The rest is baloney. Yeah, the newspaper is also full of baloney, but don't worry. I know how to read between the lines. I like that William Sapphire, even though he's a lousy Republican. And I also like that Rosenthal fella who writes sometimes on the back page. But that Anthony Lewis, a big anti-Semite, I'm telling you, by him, Israel is always in the wrong. No matter what they do, he knocks them down. It's not right. I'm not saying they're perfect. They're stupid too. But they can't always be wrong. Yeah, he doesn't know history, period. He talks from today like a moron, a joke. You can't talk about now without knowing the history. Look, I'm not a college graduate like most of the Americans, but I'm no dummy. I had to leave public school after the sixth grade to help my father. But I got common sense. All your college education is nothing if you ain't got no common sense. Am I right? Anyhow, what the hell was I talking about? Don't worry, I don't have Alzheimer's. I'm just an alte kacke. That means an old shitter. Listen, don't think it's such a bargain getting old. It's plenty lousy. But I'll tell you the truth. I do watch myself. I had a scare with my heart a couple of years ago. I cut out smoking 4 years already. Sure. Yeah, I smoke 2 packs a day. For what? Almost 60 years? Camels, of course, without the filter. Come on. But I cut them out cold turkey. Also, I cut out butter, sugar. Sugar I never liked anyway. Meat. Now that's a problem. Damn it to hell, there is nothing like a big, juicy veal chop, broiled with some garlic, or a nice shell steak about 2 inches thick. Ooh, I order it special from the butcher. I tell you, I make it better than by Peter Luger. How the hell can you give that up? Come on. The whole cholesterol business is a bunch of baloney anyway. Genius doctors, lousy bastards. Every week they come up with a new scare and a new idea for the cure. Yeah, it's a racket. They make a fortune. Don't think I don't know. But what the hell? I try to watch anyway, just in case they're right. Can you imagine? I still think about a smoke every now and then. I'm lost. Oh, yeah. I was saying about an article in the paper, in the Times, about a Japanese fella that was hiding in a cave 30, 40 years after the war. The guy was so well hidden, he didn't know it was finished. I'm not joking. He didn't know. So maybe there's people yet like him who don't know the war is over. Jewish people, huh? It's possible, no? No, all right, look, until they find someone else, I'll be the last one, the last dinosaur. There's a Yiddish word for dinosaur. It's dinosaur. No, that's not a joke. I mean it. It's a terrible thing what happened. People think that Yiddish is just a bunch of jokes, words to make you laugh. Pot, schmuck, schmendrick. No, are you crazy? Yiddish was the language of the world. Wherever you went, to any European city or town, you would manage in Yiddish. In Asia, too, physicists, scientists spoke Yiddish in their laboratories. And it wasn't just the schmatte salesman and the yentis. It was the architect and the archaeologist, the businessman and the brain surgeon. Everything, all subjects, all professions, everything, anything. Literature, poems, beautiful words, expressions. You have no idea. Even sex was in Yiddish. But that was from right to left. Nah, that's just a joke. Sex in Yiddish. Oh boy, this I can remember. Listen, I may be old, but I ain't that old. Let me tell you something. Making love to a girl in Yiddish, this is one of the sweetest pleasures on the earth. What, you look at me and you think, what the hell can this alte kacke know about sex? Come on, let me tell you. I was once a something, a something. I can speak 8 languages, and I'm not bragging. Handsome, even though I'm a short fella. And look at these eyes, huh? Huh? Magnets. I looked on the girls and I made electricity. I was the Thomas Edison from my town. Sure. So, if I tell you that being with a girl, kissing and hugging and talking Yiddish is the greatest thing, you can believe me. Don't let these looks deceive you. I'm no pisher. I've been with girls from all over the world, all over, even with 2 girls in one bed. No joke. And none of them, not one, not the prettiest beauty even, was as loving and warm as the plainest girl could be in Yiddish. Ah, those words, they go straight to the heart, straight like an arrow. The souls grab each other, I'm telling you. It combines the love from a mother with the honey cake from the baker, and then you mix in some sex, and boy, oh boy, that's living. Can you believe it? Unbelievable. And the laughing and the fun. Not like today. We made our fun from nothing, from each other. It was plenty. It was another world. And now you try not to think about it. You try to drop your skin like a snake and go on. But you know, it's not so easy like those lousy snakes make it look. You miss it. You just got to try not to think about it. That's all. Look, it was a rotten time. When you think about it, really, come on, forget it. All the verkackte Jews like to remember the shtetl like it was a picnic. Oh, the good old days. Baloney. It was always rough there. Before the war, even. Yeah, I remember I had to run to school because the Polish boys would chase me and hit me. Big anti Semites, I'm telling you. The Polacks were bigger anti Semites than the Germans. Yeah, I know you don't believe me, but it's the truth. The Germans were one thing, but the Poles, oh, we lived among them, with them. We worked with them. They were our neighbors. The Nazis just did to us what the Polacks didn't have the brains to do themselves. Come on, why do you think most of the concentration camps were in Poland? Because there especially, they didn't give a shit for the Jews. Look, there were some good Polacks too, I'm not saying no. It's just that most of them always hated us, always. You know, when I came out from the concentration camp, I was wandering Poland like a Michiganer, looking for my family, friends, somebody. Months, years, we roamed, crazy, wild. You have to remember what we lived through. Even though we fought like animals to survive, we never thought that we would ever really get the hell out of there. You know, try to picture for one lousy minute what it was like. It wasn't real, even to us. Even though we lived through it, it was unimaginable. Anyhow, I went to my hometown, to my father's house. Inside was now living a Polak, a man who knew my father, who sometimes worked with my father, living in my father's house, and he wouldn't leave. Can you imagine? He wouldn't leave? He said it was his house now, and that's that, his house. I'm telling you, I killed him. I killed him. I ran at him, and I hit him, and I strangled him, and I threw him out the window, and he ran away. Listen, the house was nothing for me without my father. I couldn't stay there alone. I had to find somebody. But I'll tell you, I don't regret for a minute that I beat the hell out of that guy, that bastard. So I left there. You know, you couldn't go nowhere without papers, and that took time. Then I got my papers. I had no money, no food, no nothing. Remember, when I came out from the camps, I weighed less than 40 kilo. That's about 80 pounds. Till I put some flesh back on my bones. Big deal. You know, the main thing was to find somebody, not to be alone. Every town had a list of the survivors, the refugees who came through town with their destination, and you would look on the list to see if someone from your family was there and where they were going. Can you imagine this? You can't. Looking for names on lists together with thousands of other names for our life to see who was living. You would see a name, you know. You would see a name that you know. Is it possible that they're alive? No, it was all impossible. But we did it. That's what we did. We went from town to town, asking, looking, hoping. Finally, in one town, I saw my cousin's name on a list. I didn't know what to do first. I'm telling you. To look down on all the names, to come to a name you know, family, friend, it means that you yourself is living. Otherwise, you are a ghost walking on the earth alone, a shadow. I learned my cousins were in a town about 30 kilometers away. I stole a bicycle, and I'm telling you, I was lucky not to get caught and thrown into a jail. I got to the town. I remember I didn't know exactly where to go. I left the bike and I started walking down the street. It was very muddy, a dark, cloudy day. I'll never forget this. I'm walking. I see a man across the street from me, walking the other way, skinny like a noodle. I give a quick look. Something is familiar. I look. He's looking at me also. Oh my God. It's my cousin, Itchy, who was strong like a bull and soft like a king, a giant. Now he's pale and thin like paper. I wouldn't recognize him except for his whiskers. Yeah, he always had a pair of vonces, whiskers, like strong bristles, thick like an Italian peasant. I found him. Itche! I yelled to him. He saw me. He was white, like a ghost. And we grabbed each other and hugged and kissed and cried in that street full of the mud. Look, I got goose pimples now even. Yeah, I was never so happy to see anyone in my life, except maybe the American soldiers who liberated the camp, or they came to us like from a movie, real heroes. To this day, I am crazy about the American soldier. Unbelievable. Yeah, Itche and his wife, Laiche, they weren't in the camps. They escaped to Uzbekistan during the war. They had hunger, typhus. Don't worry, they suffered plenty. But she looked on me, Laiche. Nobody ever looked on me like that, with such pity and sorrow. She was shocked. I tell you, I myself had no idea how much I changed. I didn't know. I thought it was still me. Yeah, that's a funny thing about a person, huh? They think of themselves a certain way, and even after they go through death and hell, they still think that they're the same person as from before. Yeah, it's like when the old people eat ice cream cones. Yeah, to them, it's like they're still 10 years old and they're trying not to let it drip and make a mess on their hands, huh? But when we look on them, we see an old man with false teeth and dyed hair who doesn't know who the hell he is anymore. Itchy and lychee. Yeah, we talked about who was living and who we hadn't heard about, and there was still plenty we didn't know yet. As it turned out, there was no one else left. Yeah, not my 6 brothers, not my baby sister, of course, not my parents, not my father's brothers or sisters or nieces or cousins. What, 30, 50, 100 people? Look, what is there to say about that? What can I tell you? That we cried? What do you want me to say? I was the only one left then. And here you tell me I am the only one left now? Come on. That's not what I wanted. I'm here by myself. Again? No. No, God damn it. Go away. I don't know a goddamn thing. Bring out the professors and the writers. Let them talk about it. I should have eaten the goddamn butter and the steak and the fried potatoes and the hell with the cholesterol. I didn't survive in order that I would be the last one, the only one left, all by myself. Again. Why, you think being here with you is such a picnic? I'm sorry. It's not your fault. I know that. Of what use can I be to you, huh? The last one to remember the trains, and the roundups, and the hiding, and the hunger, and the killing. That's what you want to hear about? So what? Look, this is plenty documented already. All the death. Whoever doesn't know this or believe this, I couldn't help them. They should drop dead. You don't need me for that, to be the witness of the death. There's enough garbage already from during the war. Pictures, books, television shows even. Yeah, I didn't watch that show, that television show, the Holocaust. Even though I liked her, that girl, that Tova Feldscher. Oh, it's a nice name. She's a talented girl. But I still couldn't watch it. It's good that they made it, but it wasn't for me. That Spielberg movie too. I'm sure it was very good, but not for me. It's for the rest of the Americans. You know what I read in the Times a couple of months ago? I couldn't believe it. They did a survey, and it showed that 35% of the American people don't believe that the Holocaust really happened. 35%? And this is an educated country? What the hell is that? I mean, what is that? What, you want me to go on a talk with a megaphone and tell people? Just put me in the zoo. Come on. Yeah, that's as bad as if it was happening again. What the hell is the point then, huh? I'm here, and I'm the last, and then what, huh? Who will remain then? Who will stand up and say, I saw it, I lived it, it was real like day and night, huh? Not me. It won't be me. No, sir. So, who will it be? Huh? Who is left to protect the truth, the memory of these people, to watch it shouldn't happen again, huh? You. It'll be left with you. Psh, what a job, boy. I feel sorry for you. You'll be left with it, with the tragedy and the shame and the guilt and the rage and the loss. Oh, boy. That'll be some loss that we're not here no more. Oh, boy. And then you'll be all alone. You'll go to your fakakta oral history tapes, but it won't be the same. It'll be like looking at the dinosaur bones in the museum. It won't be the same no more. The eyes, the insides of the people, the bubbas and the zaydas and the children, And the cripples and the artists and the singers and the writers and the beggars will all be missing. The people finished. You didn't know them. And now there'll be no one to ask, to even tell you of them who saw them and knew them and touched them. It'll be an empty hole. I feel sorry for you. My God, you know what? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I don't believe it. I'm just now discovering something that I never thought for even a minute in my whole life. I'm a lucky guy. Me. Can you imagine? Lucky. I don't mean because I survived. Come on. A dog can survive. No, no. I mean because I was there. I saw it with mine own eyes. I saw the people, the world of the Jewish people living together, fighting together, and dying together. And the beauty of them, the sound of their laugh and their prayers and the feel of their skin and the tragedy from their tears, I saw them. I knew them. They were rich like kings, not with money. No, I don't mean money. Money is garbage. They were rich with character, brains, and dignity and charm. They were generous souls. Listen, most people didn't have nothing. Nothing. Whole families lived in one room. We slept 4 or 5 to a bed, head to feet. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would sleep with my head at one end of the bed, and my brother Felix would sleep next to me, but his feet were by my head. And then my little brother Moshe would sleep next to Felix, and so on. I don't know if you ever slept like this, but let me tell you, first of all, it was fun. And second of all, we stayed warm and we slept good. And furthermore, if I had all the money of Nelson Rockefeller and Ross Perot put together, I would give it away in a second, just to have one night back with my brothers in the bed. Let me ask you something. After me, who you gonna look at? Whose accent are you gonna laugh at? Who's going to remind you of the people who should be here with you now, talking to you, cooking for you, kissing you? It's yet another living chapter of human history that's finished. Finished. Like the Civil War, the Indians, it won't be real. The books will get dusty and you'll forget who you came from. What a shame. You know, I think you lost more than me. It's a funny thing. Can you imagine? I don't feel angry no more. What a change. I'm telling you, ask anybody who knew me. Maybe the first time in my life, I don't feel angry. I feel happy. Go no. I'm a lucky guy. Oh, that's so funny. You can't imagine. You know, there's a Yiddish expression. As men lebt, der lebt men. If you live long enough, anything is possible. Huh? How do you like that? Okay, so I'm here. I guess it's all right. Listen, if there is something you want to know, I think now is the time to ask me.
I would love to thank Avi, and I did start my video. I'm starting my video. There's my video. Um, Avi, thank you so much. That was so beautiful, and I would you like to let's come on back, Avi, if you're available. We'd like
I'm
to
back.
see.
I'm back.
It was beautiful, Avi. Thank you. Thank you
I'll
so
be
much.
back. Yeah, it's not easy.
No, no, it's not easy. No, it's not supposed to be easy, but
Right.
it's a huge undertaking, sir.
Yeah.
There's a lot of slaloming like
Yeah.
down a ski slope back and
Yeah.
forth, ahin and aher.
Yeah. No, it's such a beautifully written piece, Elle.
Thank
I
you.
got to tell you. I mean, and I'm trying to be objective now just as an actor to be able to take these words and bring them to life in a way that and under your direction I was able to find things that weren't necessarily my instincts. Very often I find myself wanting to find the sentimental side of these things because I'm removed from it a little bit. I'm not a survivor. I am 2G like you. And so when I look at the things my father went through in Auschwitz, I I feel the sadness. I feel the hurt and the pain. But when my father, and we talked about this when we were working on this, when my father told his story in his testimonial for the Shoah Foundation, there was no emotion at all. And it's stunning to watch someone telling the story of arriving in Auschwitz and having it told from such a totally objective perspective without any emotion. We got off the train, they opened the doors to the boxcars, and then they took us out, and then they separated us. I watched most of my family go to that side, and I was young, so they took me to this side. And then some of these guys who were Canadians came up. They called themselves Canadians because of different reasons. They weren't really from Canada. And they came up to me and they said, "Hey, you see the smoke coming up from that chimney? Well, that's your family. That's going to be your family." So and then he just tells the story. And it's very hard for me as a 2G, but as an actor, you led me there to be able to tell the story a little bit more factual, a little bit more detached.
Well, because of course we know in a way as actors that what moves people is when you struggle against the emotion, and when I moved by your stoicism, by your strength. If your job is to tell the story, look, your father cried plenty,
Yes,
and your character, the last one, says to, what should I tell you? We that we cried. Yeah, we cried. Big deal. Big deal,
right.
sissy. You're so. We cried, and that's how they could live. Um,
Yeah.
so
And it's not like, when I was a child, when I was a very young boy, the most difficult thing that I ever had to do on the weekends, my father worked. He built a business, he was a computer guy, and he built a rather large company. So during the week, I rarely saw him. He was gone early in the morning. He didn't come back till late at night. So really, it was the weekends when I got to see my father. And my mother would say to me, "Go wake up your father. Geh weg auf the tate." And that was the scariest thing that I ever had to do as a child, because inevitably my father would have nightmares. He didn't cry, he never talked about it, he never told the stories. I never saw him cry. But when I had to wake him up, he would wake up screaming in tears, and it always scared the hell out of me. So, it's amazing how the human being deals with these things.
Yeah.
And I love how you wrote him. He's obviously not my father, but my father is in him. There are so many survivors that I know, and I'm sure, who are in this script, who are, this guy, whoever he might be. And the way you wrote him to be able to tell the story, I find so, so profound and so honest. And the question you raise, which I really think is where I want to take the conversation ultimately, is yeah, then what? So, it's not today, it's not tomorrow, thank God. And hopefully it'll be a very long time from now
Well, but it won't
before.
be, Avi. I mean, it won't be a very long time from now. I
Right. But
mean,
there are,
you
right.
can hope it won't be a very long time from now, but it won't be a very long time. It'll be soon.
Right. But there are those who were, the child survivors who were very young when it started, the ones like, who went to the kinder transports and stuff like that. There are those who were young. So, in the best case scenario, but they don't really remember much. Some of them
A
were old
different
enough
story.
to.
I mean, the kinder transport was a different story,
Right.
right?
I understand. But
No,
I'm
and
just,
I'm not minimizing what you're saying. Yes, I hope the day never comes or something. I mean,
well, but
but
that's not
but
really the
that's
story.
how
Right.
that's how it is. And
Right.
except, I mean, if we look at Black Lives Matter and the issue of slavery, which was longer ago,
Right.
um, and somebody says their great grandmother, this is the pencil that she, this is the cotton, this is, and it's the generation's job.
Right.
It's our job to
Yeah.
remember.
And there was a last slave.
There
You
was
know,
a last slave,
there
but I
was.
guess there was a child of a last slave.
Right.
But
Right.
now there's an anicle of
And
the
the
last.
great Ureniklach and
That,
Ureniklach and
yes,
Ureniklach.
yes,
Right. And the story continues.
yes, and
But
they,
unfortunately, in the United States of America, we don't teach the slavery lessons, as well as we should in terms of the public school system. The
no,
stories are still told, and
yes, yes,
museums have
no.
been built, and the books have been written. But what are we going to do after our last one? Such an interesting dilemma.
I mean, I personally, um, I mean, I work in the theater and I am in the show business. But if you said to me, do you want to spend a couple of months going into classrooms?
Right.
That's how I feel. Give me a megaphone and put
Right.
me in the zoo,
Right.
and I can do that. I will do that.
Boy, we have a
This.
lot of comments on Facebook, man. Phew. We have a lot of beautiful commentary. A lot of beautifuls. Somebody who knew my father said Mendel Hoffman was Grois. Thank you, Shoshana. All the survivors that I met told their stories factually. Cannot think of one that didn't, says Nina. Um, we have to remember, continue the stories, never forget. Bravo, Eleanor. There's a lot of bravos in here, Eleanor. And so, it's nice. It's very nice.
I'm doing this podcast, Yale University's Fortunoff Video Archive, those who were there, voices from the Holocaust. And, nearly everyone is deceased, and people tell their stories. And and they tell them, they heart sometimes they can't talk, sometimes they catch themselves
Right.
in a way.
Right.
They're prepared to go on. They're prepared to say that they were in hiding for 2 years and they didn't eat or pish or sleep or whatever. And but every once in a while it grabs them.
Right.
And I'll tell you a tiny anecdote of we were recording recently this second season, and I mean, I'm pretty inured, or so I think. And there was a woman's story, and at the end of it, I had to say, well, so and so died in November 7th, 1998, and she has survived. And it gets me now too. She is survived by her 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and 45 great grandchildren, and I'm finished.
Right.
That finishes me. Not that she was in Auschwitz, not that she was on the death march, not that. No, that
Right.
she leaves the world with 48 great grandchildren. That lays me out,
Right.
and that and in a way, this pandemic, not that we can compare apples to oranges, but you just have to stay alive.
And that's the victory. I mean, that's what my father and my mother always used to say, is that was the victory, that they survived to have children and grandchildren, and that there are more. That is the great victory over Hitler. The problem, of course, is had those 6 million lived, there would have been 100 million Jews in the world today. And instead, we're only now starting to get back to the numbers that we were at before the war. And that's the tragedy, of course. That's the greatest tragedy of all this, is that it's taken us till now to just rebuild the numbers of what we had before the war. There's something, fascinating that I've heard about. I don't know if you've heard about it. I know that the Spielberg Foundation, the Shoah Foundation, of course, has all the videos.
as
And
as does the Fortunoff Video Archive.
right, and the Fortunoff Video Archive, and
But
and
they
many
do,
others.
yes.
Right. And they've shared, what Shoah has done is shared their videos with, with Yad Vashem and the Holocaust Museum and all the, concentration camp museums, which is great. But here's where I'm going with this. So apparently they have developed artificial intelligence that allows these videos to be put into the computer. Holograms are being created. Wait, it sounds insane, but it's because the artificial intelligence is becoming so sophisticated that it will be possible, and it may be possible already. I know they're working on the models of these, where students can go into a room, bring up whichever survivor they want, and that survivor's hologram comes up as if they were there in 3D. And the student can say, "Where were you born?" And the
Sinish
Holocaust.
familia, man. Sinish familia.
I'm not saying good or bad, I'm not judging it.
I'm judging
I'm
you.
just saying it's unbelievable to think that in a generation from now, it will be possible for groups of students to sit in a room with a hologram of a Holocaust survivor who can answer all their questions and tell the story seamlessly. Okay, well, but why, El? Tell me why.
Many reasons, many
Go ahead.
reasons. I'll start with, first of all, these people agreed to give their testimonies by video and audio to the Shoah Foundation or to the Yale University Archives. They did not agree to be a hologram. They did not agree. I mean, it's like looking on a dead person who has not given you permission to look on them.
Okay.
To me, I
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too bad that they didn't get the rights for the hologram. And a hologram is not real, even though it looks real. And you shouldn't think, in my opinion, listen, I'm such a tight ass, I'm such a hard ass person.
No,
It's,
I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
that you shouldn't imagine, like, do you think that that's a real, so you think that you're actually talking to a real person? You
No,
think
I
you
don't.
see them? What do you learn from them that you don't learn looking at a video of their, what do you get from a hologram interaction? It's not real. I mean, I just don't get it.
But it is, well, it's interesting. And again, I could see both sides of this coin. I could argue both sides of this argument because it is their words, it is their voice, and nobody is saying they're alive. People are being known that these people died, they lived, they died, they experienced these things, and the future technology, or actually today's technology, allows them to answer questions
Make them a
about the
robot. Let's make them a robot, and they can do what they did in
well,
life.
that's even
Let's say
creepier.
cook for you, and they'll wash the floor and tell you what it was like. At least
So
they'll do something.
I'm looking at the comments on Facebook. So one person says the holograms are giving me the creeps. And then somebody else says, I saw this on 60 Minutes. It was amazing. And then other people are saying, only person to person. And other persons say, I prefer for you to write and act the stories out, much more
Absolutely.
human. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again,
Absolutely.
I'm not suggesting one or the other, but I got news for you. Whether we like it or not at this point, that's the future. That's happening now.
Okay, Zolzine. I mean, the future is the future. I won't be here in the future, and now I'm determined that in my will, I'm going to say that I do not permit being
My
a hologram,
right.
a Holocaust hologram. It's like a TV show, the Holocaust holograms, Sinish Famia. And
Yeah.
and if I don't put this in my will, because it's going to cost me to call my lawyer, I'm making this announcement on Facebook and on no
And
hologram,
you could too.
no Eleanor Reissa hologram. Also,
Okay.
so geschehen.
I will well, I won't be around, so
Who knows? Whoever's around, please note.
right. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Anyway, we are going to have this conversation and much more tonight at 9 o'clock. So Eleanor, what else? What's noch before we
I just
finish
will
up
say,
today?
now in on my clock it says 5:50 Eastern Standard Time. I'm just going to do a
Correct.
quick plug for 7 p.m. the rebroadcast of The Last Survivor. If you haven't seen it or you did, tell your friends. It's quite the actors are so good, and it's quite wonderful. So it's a different thing than this today. And I thank you, Avi, and Yiddishkeit Initiative so much.
Of course, of course, of course. Yes, let me reiterate, but first let me thank Eleanor Reissa, who is not only my dear, dear friend,
I'm a
and
hologram. Just think of me as a
in
hologram.
case you didn't know, Eleanor Hologram Risa is someone who is so important in this world of Yiddishkeit. The work she's done, whether it's as a writer, as an actor, a director, a singer, she is one of the not so many in the world today who understand the truth and the realities of all of these things we're talking about when it comes to Yiddishkeit. She is what we say in Yiddish, von unsere. She's one of ours. She really understands Yiddish and the Yiddish language, Yiddish culture. She understands, the Holocaust experience as a 2G, just like I do. And there aren't that many of us. There are more, of course, but sooner or later will be gone. And then it goes to the 3Gs, and the 4Gs and others. And those are the things we're going to talk about. So, Eleanor, thank you. I'm going to turn off your video for us for a little while. You
Thank
don't
you,
have to
Avi,
go
and thank you
away.
to the audience. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. And I would like to once again thank our sponsors, thank everyone who is watching right now, and everybody who's going to watch in the future. And let me tell you, so today at 7 o'clock, well, this is the first day of our Why I Remembers Yom HaShoah commemoration events. This was our second event of today at 7 o'clock. Eleanor Reissa's The Last Survivor, with an extraordinary cast of award-winning Broadway and off-Broadway and unbelievable actors reading this incredible play that Eleanor Reissa wrote, very different than the one you just heard, called The Last Survivor. And at 9 p.m., after that, we are going to have a panel discussion called After the Last Survivor, the Future of Holocaust Awareness. And we have Eleanor and Leah Volanets from the Chenstokhov Society from this morning, Dr. Yael Danieli from the United Nations, one of the creators of a center for trauma and Holocaust education, Steve Ludson from the original board of directors from the Holocaust Museum in Washington, and a 3G named Stacy Seance, who is on the board of trustees of the Holocaust Museum in Washington and the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York. So that's going to be a panel discussion at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we have another full day of unbelievable events. An amazing interview with Miriam Friedman from Chess Masters to the Holocaust and Beyond, survivor David Friedman's art legacy. This is an extraordinary artist who survived the Holocaust, but believe it or not, he probably became most known for his Budweiser beer billboards. So if that didn't pique your curiosity, you have to watch at 2 p.m. At 5 p.m. tomorrow, Why I Remembers, a conversation with Rabbi Rosalie Jarrett, another dear friend of mine, who is the founder of One by One Inc., onebyone.org, which brings together children of Holocaust survivors with children of the perpetrators, the Nazis. And this has been going on for decades that I didn't even know about. They work all over the world, and now it's not only just Holocaust, it's also victims of other trauma and their perpetrators. So don't miss that. That's tomorrow at 5. 6:30, Professor Robert Watson, a best-selling author and professor, is doing a lecture on Terezin, the model camp. That's 6:30 tomorrow, in anticipation of the musical drama Signs of Life. And that is going to bring together a very talented group of actors and singers to bring to life this amazing musical. And after that, at 9 p.m., we're going to meet all the creators of that particular reading and musical, Peter, Julian Len Schiff, and Joel Durfner, the creators of the musical, the producers, Joan Lyman and Virginia Christ, and the director of the reading, our very own Amy London. And that will bring an end to our 2 days of Why I Remembers Yom HaShoah. Ladies and gentlemen, as Eleanor said, all of our programs are free to the public, which means that projects like the one you've just seen, all of our projects, we pay our actors, we pay our composers, we pay our musicians, we pay everybody. It's very important that, in spite of the fact that it's free to you, it's important that we get support from you. And we have our sponsors, which we will thank momentarily, but we need your help as well. So please go to our website, whyilovejewish.org, and help support what we do. And it doesn't matter whether it's $1, 10, 18, 180, or 18,000 or more. If you want to give us more, contact me directly at Avi at whyilovejewish.org. Either way, I thank you so much for being here. And what we're doing is important work. And I think of it as tikkun olam. We're trying to make the world a better place, mensch to mensch. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you a little later. Don't miss the rest of our programs.